Yeah, that's interesting. Hey everyone, welcome to TechCentric episode 3. Today is the 4th of July and we are happy to bring you explosives and tornadoes. Very good mix. So let's check out what we have first on our schedule. Last couple of months I've showed you how to do incoming and outgoing calls through your voice over IP asterisk server in your own house for cheap or close to nothing. There's one fatal flaw with this. What if your house is burning down? What if there's a flood? What if your power goes out? How do you make a phone call? Your asterisk machine and your cable modem are both dead. Phone companies have already solved this. What they have is massive battery backups at their central offices that keep everybody's phone lines still functional. Today I'm going to show you how to do the same functionality but with voice over IP. It's done with a simple phone device that we call simply an automatic phone switcher. What it does is when there's 5 volts sitting on the USB line, which is in most cases plugged into your asterisk machine, it keeps the flow through the relay plugged into your Sapura box. But in the case of a dead power line, it's the same as unplugging the USB cable. The power goes out, the relay switches back to its default position, and it switches back to your landline. Let's go through it now and see what you need to build something like this. It's really simple. All you need to do this is some basic tools and probably stuff you have lying around. First of all, you need your soldering iron, solder to go with it, desoldering braid, which is available at Radio Shack. It's probably the coolest thing ever. An X-Acto knife, some scissors, a small piece of PCB board. Optional is an IC socket to hold the relay, and an old ISA modem which has some relays and phone jacks on it. So I had mentioned you're going to need an old ISA modem. Really, it can be a PCI, ISA, or external, as long as it has some phone jacks on it. And you're also going to need some 5-volt relays. Now, recently modems have been out-phasing relays, which is why I said to look for an ISA modem, because usually the ISA modems are the only one with relays. You can tell if it's a relay if it looks like this. Now, relays can come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Just the small rectangular form factor is usually how they come. Look for a company name such as Omron or Radio Shack or something like that, maybe even Rockwell. Just go ahead and pull it off with some desoldering braid. Desoldering braid is fairly straightforward to use. All you need for this is your soldering braid and your soldering iron. Go ahead and stick the soldering braid over the joint that you need to take the solder off of and apply heat. In no time you'll see the solder start to suck right up to the braid. Repeat this on all joints. So this is what makes the whole project work. This little beauty right here is a relay. What it does is when electricity is applied to the electromagnet on one half of the relay, it switches the pole on the other side and allows current to pass. Once voltage is unapplied or turned off of the electromagnet, it switches back to its default position, and that's what a relay does. So once you have all the parts you need for this, you know, your relays and your USB cords that you ripped out of an old mounts and all kinds of stuff like this, crap you have lying around, go ahead and throw it together. Now I can't really illustrate effectively, it would just be a waste of time to illustrate me building this device. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and post the schematic for this on the show notes, and if you have any questions, go ahead and email me. Right now we're going to plug it in and see if it works. Basement. Let's plug it in and install this device. First thing we're going to need to do is, of course, plug in the USB cable so that the box gets its 5 volts. Immediately we hear the relay switch over and switch to the voice over IP line. At this point, we're going to take the cord running from our Sapura SPA 2000 box and plug it in to one of the sides of the switcher. Second step would be to take our line coming out of our PSTN, which is right here, plug that into the other side, into the backup port. The last and final step is to take the plugs running to the rest of the house, and plug this one into the phone port. Now, what we're going to do now is simulate the power dying and make sure it works with this phone right here. Okay, so right now we hear dial tone from the voice over IP line. We're going to pretend that we unplugged the asterisk machine. We're just going to pull out this cord here. The relay switches over, and in a couple of seconds we hear dial tone from the PSTN. It works. So in conclusion, if you have your whole house running on voice over IP and you rely on it for day-to-day communication, a device such as this is absolutely necessary in the event of an emergency. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and email me at will@techcentric.org. Be sure to check out the show notes for much more detailed instructions on how to perform this operation. And feel free to call the hotline at 360-226-7313. Stay tuned next month, and I'll show you how to do automated IVR prompts with Asterisk.
So, I've been meaning to ask you. I've come up to a problem when using Asterisk. I've wanted to, use my main phone line when the power cuts out, because VoIP runs, using power. What happens if the internet or your power cuts out?
That's exactly what that device is for, Jared. I mean, it switches back to your hard phone line if, in the event the power line goes out, because the power on the USB turns off when the power's out. And in turn, the relay switches back to its default position and turns you back onto your hard line.
Awesome. Well, we have another segment coming up. It's actually Jared did it, and talks all about running your house through Tor. So check it out.
Hi, I'm Jared. I'm back from episode 1 and 2. I'm going to be teaching you about another security-related issue. In episode 1, I taught you about OPH crack. Episode 2, I taught you about IM logging. Today, I'm going to teach you how to use Tor and run Asterisk using Tor, and to pretty much stay anonymous while you're on the internet. Today, I'm going to be teaching you, like I said, how to use Tor. First off, what you're wondering is, what is Tor? Tor is short for the Onion Router. It's an acronym. It's made by EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and what it does, it's pretty much a proxy, and it's used with Provoxy and Tor, and they make a pretty good proxy. It keeps you anonymous on the internet. So I'm going to explain, now how Tor keeps you anonymous. Well, what Tor does is you have your computer, and then your computer using Tor, it sends the signal or data or whatever to another computer. That computer doesn't know where the signal is coming from or anything like that. Sends it yet again to another computer, and then that computer sends the signal out to the internet. So once the signal hits the internet, it doesn't know what the signal is, or data, or anything like that, where it's come from, or who it's come from. So pretty much when the data hits the internet, it's pretty much all the way anonymous. The speed, however, it's a bit faster than dial-up speed, so if you're using broadband, you will see a bit of a difference, but for our dial-up users out there, you'll actually like it a lot more if you're using broadband. So I'm going to teach you how to do Tor with Azurus, and first we got to put on our tinfoil hats, keep the government out of our minds, so let's get started. Now, to first start up setting up Tor, all that sort of stuff, you got to find your LAN IP address. How do we do that, Jared? Okay, I'll teach you. What you need to do, you go to Start, you go to Run, and you go to Command Prompt. You type in IP config, you type Enter. You're going to come up with your LAN IP address. Take note of it. It's really important that you take note of it. Second, we're going to install Tor and Provoxy. You can have Tor and Provoxy, but you need to have a combination of both of them. You can find Tor and Provoxy packages at tor.eff.org. Important, remember that you have both of them. It doesn't work with one or the other. You have to have both. Okay, after you've done that, we're going to set up stuff in Provoxy. This is all after you've installed it, by the way, because you can't install stuff. You can't edit stuff that you haven't installed. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the listen address. So you're going to go in Provoxy, edit, main configuration, and then you're going to do Control F and type in listen-address. It's going to come up with a listen address. You're going to scroll all the way down until there are no text parts that have a pound sign before it. You're going to find the thing that says listen address, and it's going to say 127.0.0.1 colon, probably a port number 8118. That is your localhost, which is pretty much when your computer routes stuff through the internet back to itself before it hits the internet, though. So you're going to take out that. Then you're going to add in your IP address that you got from step number 1. Now, for the port, you're going to put in a port higher than the one it had on 127.0.0.1:8118. So you're probably going to be using 8119 as your port. You're going to save the configuration file, very important that you save, and then you're going to restart your computer. After we've done that, we're going to go and set up our proxy settings in Firefox. So we hit Tools, Options, Connection, and Connection Settings. We're going to select the manual proxy configuration. Now the HTTP proxy is the same IP address that you used in step 3, and you're going to use the same port. So instead of having the 127.0.0.1, for mine I had 192.168.0.11, and the port was 8119. Yours is going to be different because you don't have the same IP address as me, but your port is probably going to be the same as mine, the 8119. Click OK, make sure all that stuff is saved, and restart Firefox. After we've done that, we're going to download Azurus, and you can get Azurus from azurus.sourceforge.net. What is Azurus? If you don't know, I'm assuming most of you know, but if you don't know, it's a BitTorrent tracker pretty much. You download torrents with it, and it runs on the BitTorrent script and all that sort of stuff. Can't really get technical about it because I don't really know. You know, though. All we have to know is that you download torrents from it. After we've downloaded Azurus, what we're going to do is we're going to set up the proxy in Azurus. How do we do this? We go to Tools, Options, Connection, Proxy Options, and Tracker Communications. It's important that you use only Tracker Communications. Well, why do we only use Tracker Communications? Tracker Communications, if you want to think about it as an analogy, is it's an inventory person. And they keep an inventory of who has what files, where the files are going to, and how much each person has of each file. It's important that you use Tor on that sort of stuff, because when the government catches people using this sort of stuff on illegal torrents, their IP address is on the tracker when you pull it up. So make sure that you use only the tracker thing, because that's the thing that keeps log of the IP address. Because you're using Tor and all that proxy stuff, your real IP address is not going to be on there. It's going to be a fake IP using the Tor proxy. Just remember that, if you're not setting all this stuff up correctly, you do run the risk of, being caught. Whether the likelihood of you being caught, it's not really likely. It still is a good possibility, though. What you need to do, though, after you've gotten to the tracker communications, you check both the boxes. Use the same IP import as in steps 3 and 4. Make sure you use the same sort of stuff, not localhost or anything like that. Save this. Important that you save it, and then restart Azurus. Now that you've restarted Azurus and all this sort of stuff is running right, what you can do is you can go to a torrent place that has legal torrents and download your favorite torrent file, whether it be your favorite Linux build or an IPTV show episode. We don't condone the use of legal torrents or anything like that. Also, just to tell you from Tor's opinion, the people who wrote it, they did not want people using this to begin with. They have it on their stuff, they have all these sorts of disclaimers, because when you put the stuff through Tor, you're putting all of this broadband data through it, and it was not built to have all of this data go through it. Tor and the people who wrote it, it says, it's not meant for this. If it continues to be used like this, then it's probably going to be, shut down. Whether the likelihood of that is going to happen or not, I don't really know, but I'm just telling you what Tor says. Also, if you have any questions on this, my email is, jared@techcentric.org. I'm on the IRC room, TechCentric. My AIM screen name is TechCentric Jared, all that sort of stuff. We'll have show notes up on this as well. But most importantly, remember, winners don't use wares. Hope you enjoy this. Hope you find it educational. Stay safe. Stay anonymous.
Okay. All right. So, Jared, this segment, you're not suggesting people do wares now, are you?
Oh, Tabby, you should know. Winners don't do wares. After 9/11 and all that sort of stuff, NSA got into tapping the citizens' stuff. Internet, phone, all that sort of stuff. So, a legitimate use and legal use of it would be to stay anonymous on the web from your government.
Let's see what we got coming up next.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me in my cowboy-themed family room again. I have another 2 sites for you today. The first one being packtrack.com. That's www.packtrack.com. And basically what it is you can insert any tracking number, reference number for USPS, UPS, DHL, FedEx, or any one of their other 60 carriers they deal with. And you can track your packages. You can make a sign-in name, you can log in, track all of your packages down in your account. It's really easy to use. I definitely recommend checking it out. Second site I have for you today is called bancomicsans.com. And basically what it is, it's this group of people that really hate the font Comic Sans. And, originally it was developed by Microsoft in 1995 to be used in comic books, online comics, that sort of thing. And a lot of people really hate the font, and I do too. I don't know about you guys, but personally I really hate the font. There's an online petition to ban the font. Microsoft has actually been considering getting rid of the font completely. That was on Dig, I believe. And what they have on this website are alternative fonts to be used in comic books, online comics, anything of that sort. And if you're really into the cause, you can get merchandise, so shirts, hoodies, anything like that. You can get straight from the site. So I definitely recommend checking it out. If you hate the font too, you can join the cause. So check it out. So this has been Surfing with Steve for episode 3. Hope to see you guys next episode. And hopefully we'll be finding some new websites for you guys. Interesting websites. If you have any suggestions for websites, I'd be glad to review them, look them up, see how they, do them on the show. So you can email me at steve@techcentric.org. You can also call the hotline. The number will be at the bottom. And check out our website for the show notes if you have any questions of the sites, or if you forgot the URLs or that sort of thing. Okay, so I'll see you guys later.
So, Steve, what do you think it is with this infatuation? Everybody loves Comic Sans. What is this?
I really don't know. It's very annoying. I mean, even a university's website is
obnoxious.
done. It's done in Comic Sans.
It's unacceptable.
Infuriating.
Moving along, let's see what's up next.
Alright, I'm Nick, and I'm here today to explain to you guys the basics of data recovery and how it works. You got 2 different types of data recovery first off. You got physical and you got logical. Physical refers to you actually taking the data off of one drive, probably one that doesn't work, and moving it to another one. That way you have it, it's safe, and it's good. Logical, which we're going to be focusing on today, refers to taking the data, like you just threw it out, it's on the same drive, but you want to get it back. We're going to be focusing on logical, so I'm going to explain to you a little bit of how that works. When you delete a file from most kinds of storage, be it a hard drive or some type of flash memory, the only thing that is actually removed is the file system reference where the file is stored. This occurs in the file allocation table, or FAT. The actual contents of the file remain on the drive until the operating system notices that the space is empty and overwrites it. This determination is made by when there is no reference in the file table for a specific set of sectors or area on the drive. This laziness, as to not actually deleting the contents, if you will, is what makes recovery possible. Okay, so hopefully you get the concept by now. You can apply this to anything, your portable media, your hard drives, you got the idea. There are a few different ways to get your data back. The first, which I don't really classify as true data recovery, is where you get something like Norton's SystemWorks suite, which includes Norton Protected Recycle Bin, which is basically recycle bin within a recycle bin. It just caches everything you throw in there and keeps it for itself until you empty the cache. So, not true data recovery because you haven't actually lost it yet, but they still call it data recovery, so whatever. Then you got the 2 actual types that I classify it into, and most other people do too. First kind is where the program is going to look at your file table and analyze where it sees that there's going to be free space, Then it goes back on the hard drive or whatever you're using, and looks at that free space and looks and sees if there's data there. If it's something it can put back together, or notices that it's some kind of file format it can put back together, it's going to say there's a file there and allow you to recover it. So you can do that. That's one way to get it back. Other programs are going to completely ignore any form of file system you've got. No file table, no nothing. They're going to read everything bit for bit and see if they can match up anything to a specific set of rules regarding some kind of file system, or whether they see file start points, end points, or anything that might resemble part of a file. And then they're going to figure it out. Okay, this should be one file, this should be one file, and they're going to list it out individually. But those are the two basic ways. So you get something there. Hopefully by then you get the idea that with all these programs, you're going to be wanting to use something that doesn't overwrite your data. You're going to be wanting to use some sort of Linux Live CD or some bootable CD. BART PE is a good one if you want to use Windows still. To aid in recovering, especially if you're working on the same drive that the file you want to recover is on. That way you can make sure when you boot up you don't lose it. If anything else fails, you can't get it back with a data recovery tool, they can't find it, and you don't have any form of way to get it back, there are professional data services like I data recovery services that are going to try and get your file back. If you want to reach them, I is a good one. Start with, you can reach them 360-555-1337. It's their phone number. Go ahead and call them. They're real great. Now, you know how to get a file back, but what happens if you want to make sure no one else can? This is where shredding comes in, and shredding is basically just what it sounds like. In the paper world, you take a document and you obliterate it to a bunch of little bits and pieces. That's exactly what shredding does. It's going to take the drive, whatever media you're using, and physically overwrite it. Now the number of times it does it depends on the program. DoD standard is like 7 times, but some of them I've seen go as high as like 50. So if you're really paranoid, you can go find one of those. But they're going to do it in one of two ways themselves. The first one is they're going to do what's just called zeroing out. They're just going to write everything 000000000 in binary. Completely and utterly obnoxious, Second way is where it's going to make up random data or make up some random file. Maybe it's some random image that it comes up with that isn't even anything. And it's just going to overwrite your file with that a couple times. So instead of your file being there, it looks like there was an image there that completely is the opposite of what your file is. So you can do that. Some common tools for Windows, if you're looking for something for free, is the AnalogX Super Shredder. If you're under Linux, there is the GCC Shred tool, probably available under your shell. Better check it. And if you're in OS X, yes, you do have one. It's called Secure Empty Trash. I believe you get to that shift, click on your recycle bin and hit empty trash or whatever, something like that. But I don't know, I don't have a Mac. But last way to protect yourself, use some kind of encryption and don't let files stay unencrypted on your drive. Obviously, that's kind of standard, but you get the idea. And if you're looking for, while I'm completely here still, if you're looking for some software that'll help you recover your data, I went through a whole bunch of good Windows tools, but the best free one I found is called PC Inspector File Recovery. It's from convar.de. That one's a good free one. Be wary of the shareware ones, the paid ones. Some of them are going to save it into some encrypted file format or something you can't read your file back in, and then you can't get it back until you pay for the program. So if you absolutely decide you want one, you can go get the demo and recover your file, then pay them, get your file back and decrypt it and all that. Depends, go ahead, but hopefully this knowledge you've gained from this segment will help you out. Now, if you want to learn anything else, or talk to me about recovering your files, anything like that, you can email me, nick@techcentric.org, AIM, TCentricNick, or hit us up on IRC, irc.hack5.org, channel #TechCentric. Or you can call the hotline on extension 1339. Hope you learned something today. Hope this helps. Peace.
So, Tadek, that's very informative. What would you recommend somebody should do if they don't want their files to be recovered in the manner that you explained?
First thing you want to do is, I said already, you want to make sure your files are shredded. Windows, you can use Analog Shred tool. You got Shred under Unix, and there's Secure Empty Trash under Mac OS X. There's stuff like that.
One program that I'd like to recommend personally is Derek's Bootin'. You can get that from dban.sourceforge.net. Coming up next, let's see what we got.
Alright, hey everybody, today I'm going to teach you how to burn your own PS2 game backups. To do that, you're going to need a PS2 first. You're going to need software called Swap Magic, and you can get that online for about 20 bucks. I'll give you a few sites where you can find it. You're going to need a thing called a slide key, slide card. They have different names for it. It's about 5 bucks or so. You can find this on eBay. Total for this project is about $30 to play burn backup games. The first thing you need to do is to get your game burned, so I'm going to take you downstairs and show you how to do that first, then we'll come back and do the hardware portion. Okay, so now to the part where we're actually going to burn your game. I've chosen Alien Hominid, a fine game. I recommend you go out and get it. But, first of all, you take the disc, basically put it in your DVD drive. We're using a program today called DVD Decryptor. And basically what it does is it takes the contents on the disk and places it in an image file on your hard drive. So what it does is it recognizes it, and you just click DVD, arrow, hard drive symbol. And that's going to take a few minutes, so we'll come back in just a second. So we're going to open up our burning program. Right now we're using Roxio 6. First you want to look for some sort of option in the program called Burn Image to Disk, and what we're going to do is we're going to be burning our image file .iso to a disk, and we named ours Hominid. Open that up, click next, and then it should be burning to the disk. Now once it's done, we're going to take it up to Swap Magic, and I'll show you how to play your game. Okay, so to get your PS2 ready, get it turned on and open up the CD drive. Then turn it off. While the CD drive is still open, you can take your cables out to make this easier. You're going to want to flip it over, and then on the underneath you're going to see this front faceplate thing. You need to pull this off to get the slide card to work. So it's going to be assembled kind of like a little clip on either side. Now this is the newer version. I believe it's version 10 or 11, right before they changed it to the slim PS2s. This one's rather easy. You just snap it off, just pulls off. You got to be careful not to break these things off. They're really fragile. And once you got that off, flip your PS2 back over, get it plugged in. Okay, turn it back on. Close your CD drive. Okay. All fully functional. First thing you want to do is you want to take your burn game, get it ready. Where's the burn game? We'll use Kingdom Hearts. Okay? You want to get your Swap Magic, which I have right here. Take your Swap Magic, it's in your drive, TV on. And your Swap Magic will load, just like a regular PS2 game. Now the reason it does this is because it has inscriptions on the bottom of the actual unique disc that you receive, which makes it recognize that as a real PS2 disc, which you'll see in a second. Let's see, it says regular PS2 game. This will load up in just a second. I can show you what to do. Okay, it's going to say insert disc. Next thing you want to do is you take your slide card. Take your slide card. You want to place it on the you'll see a slot right here in your drive right here. Take your slide card, kind of place it in between the slot, get it till it sits about perpendicular to the drive. And you want to push it over to the right, and you'll see your drive shoot out a little bit. Pull the drive out the rest of the way. Pull your Swap Magic disc out. Place your burn game in. Close the drive. Now your card might get in the way a little bit. Just kind of shimmy the drive around it. Okay, then once you get the drive back together, push the slide card back to the left. You'll hear a small clicking noise. It's more of a swoon noise. Pull back out the slide card. Place your PS2 down. Press X. And if it's done correctly, the game is burned correctly, you'll see a blue outline on the outside of your screen. Then right after that, the game loads and you've successfully burned and created your own backup of a PS2 game. Alright, so in conclusion, this is a real easy way to technically play illegal games, but we do not in any way condone that. This is for your own personal use, for, in case you have, attacks by your dog who like to eat discs or some sort of thing like that, then you'll have a backup and you'll be safe. You'll have your games and you'll be able to play them. Now this is around $30, as I said earlier, about $5 for the little slide card, and anywhere in between $20 to $25 for shipping and handling on the discs. So, it's real easy to use. It's for anyone, so go out and get the stuff and try it out. I'm Steve, and if you have any questions, you can email me at steve@techcentric.org or visit the website for the show notes at www.techcentric.org. See you later.
Alright, Steve, that was a really interesting segment. One question I do have for you, though, does this play foreign game stuff from Japan, stuff like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. The slide card method uses, you can buy the foreign games, imports, Japanese, stuff like that, the PAL. You can play it on your PS2 with that slide card method.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, this has been TechCentric Episode 3. If you have any questions, go ahead and hit us up at our website. That's www.techcentric.org. We'd like to have some shout-outs to our friends over at the Crappy S Podcast and Rant Media. This has been it. I hope you and your family have a safe and fun 4th of July, but we're going to go blow some stuff up now. See you next month.